chain smoke and I say fuck a lot. But I accept myself for the way I am. I accept you too. Viewer discretion advised. So to continue John Doe's in this thread on Twitter, this blind item needed a whole video itself, because him wrote a book. So let's check it out. January 19th, 2018. The Him Blind. Him lays out a general outline of Dan Schneider's story. He says DS has a long history of destroying underage actresses, but Sumner Redstone decided DS made too much money for SR to care about raping girls. Also, DS had and has a blackmail file on Redstone. Who the fuck is Sumner Redstone? It's a dumb fucking name.
He's the media titan who coined the phrase, "content is king." Sumner Redstone was born in 1923 in Boston. He went to Harvard Law, and during World War II worked as a codebreaker for the US Army. In 1954, he left a lucrative law career to work for his dad's movie theater chain. He built a handful of drive-ins into a conglomerate, adding another term to the lexicon, multiplex. Then he used his movie theater fortune to create an empire, buying Viacom, Paramount, and CBS. MTV, Comedy Central, Nickelodeon, they're among the marquee brands that Sumner controls and exemplify his lifelong philosophy. Distribution matters, but content is king.
Nothing will change my fundamental faith in the primacy of content.
But it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows for this media mogul. In 1979, he survived a Boston hotel fire by hanging off the window ledge, suffering third-degree burns over 40% of his body. His personal life has been turbulent too. He had legal battles with his family and was estranged from his daughter Shari for years before they reconciled. At 92, a former girlfriend challenged his mental competency after she was cut out of his will, but a judge ruled in his favor. Then came the fight for his empire, with lawsuits challenging who will control Viacom and CBS after he dies. All that's at stake? A $40 billion business and a massive personal fortune. Sumner's worth an estimated $5 billion.
For Friday, it's about time. A him blind item. Tick tock. Tick tock. That clock is ticking loudly as a chain of events and a metaphorical deal with the devil can bring down this entire media corporation and their now struggling studio within the coming year. This one has been a long time coming and is thankfully about to come to an end for the perpetrators of some of the modern entertainment industry's worst long-time institutional abuses of underage actresses. For many of the longtime CDAN regulars, this one won't be a shock, although the details might. Many people in Hollywood and out have been waiting to see when this producer at this cable network is going to be called out, publicly accused or charged for his many years of abuse behind the scenes. Many have wondered why. With so many others being brought down, he's managed to escape almost unscathed. It's because of his protector. His protector is a mega wealthy big boss of the studio and corporate parent, and he wields a lot of power over many types of media in both Hollywood and New York. Many years ago, the producer got himself in serious trouble over perverted abuses of several of his actresses. Not just those he abused himself, but those he encouraged his writers, directors, and co-producers to sexually abuse. This was not a one-time thing, but an ongoing constant pattern which led those actresses to drugs, self-destruction, self-abuse, mutilation, destroying dreams, wasted careers, damaged families, and even insanity. Made more disgusting by the complicity and apathy of the parents, quote, mom majors, and guardians who just wanted fame and money. All so that some jolly perverts could get their rocks off living out their sick, unfulfilled teenage dreams. At that time, the protector still had most of his marbles and was going to live forever. Many believe he still may, although he's now alive in name only, and the flames are lapping at his legs daily. Back then, he still had his iron grip on his business, and he's never been afraid to sue, threaten, harass, or destroy others as his favorite sport. Back when the abuses emerged as whispers at the corporation, the executives and the Protector sat down with his corporate bean counters and realized the massive cash cow this producer was for them. Huge. Very huge and big in every way. In fact, probably one of the 3 biggest revenue generators in the corporate parent's entire history, especially in the coveted target demographic for ads, merch, and licensing. When that much is at stake, they don't want to rock the boat or kill the golden goose, or cow, or even a giant pig. Anyway, on the other hand, it is a public corporation, and that means things can get leaked and revealed just through statements and financial reports. What then evolved was a corporate game of chess that nobody could imagine. The producer was no dummy, so he personally hired investigators to provide ammo for his case. He then hired top financial experts to lay out the revenue he and his cronies represented to the corporation, both in the past and future revenues. So when the Protector summoned him, the producer showed the Protector a huge financial report to validate his power and worth to the bottom line. Then he showed a massive dossier of files going back 50 years of the powerful Protector's own misdeeds, from New York to Hollywood to Boston to London, a trail of abuses, perversions, thefts from his company, abuse, stealing from his own family, and even outright felonies. By the time he got down the list to mention offshore banking, the Protector knew he'd met someone on his level. Thus, the 2 twisted men forged a strategy and agreement to protect each other and the corporation. The producer surrendered his very expensive background report, and the Protector agreed to make all those pesky abuse whispers go away. They also agreed to blame another big corporate executive within the corporation if anything did leak out, and set him up as a fall guy. The Protector even targeted one of his corporate underlings to shoulder the blame too, so he could claim ignorance. None of this was simple, instant, and it was not cheap or easy. But the perverted Protector was smart enough to have limited potential witnesses by keeping his rapes/abuses down to he said, she said. And for more than a decade in the pre-Cosby and pre-Harvey days, a reporter, lawyer, or cop wouldn't accuse in such instances without hard proof. Parents were paid off in huge amounts, as in never have to work again amounts that cover cars, college tuition, homes, and all they want. The parents and managers who played ball and went along with it, they were well rewarded. Not just with big payoffs, but production deals, television shows, feature films, even music careers. Many of the adults were even bribed with corporate stock. The victims were told they had no choice and had to accept the deals, or they themselves could get in trouble. So all those actresses and their people had to do? Keep quiet. Keep smiling and doing photo ops, and support the brand shows, projects with positive PR. The best part for the producer and the Protector, they managed to make even more money off of those cover-up deals by making new shows starring once unknown backing players who had been abused. Like 2 shows that starred the same actress, and on it went, leaving a trail of money and destroyed lives in their wake. Some of the young girls were just in their tweens when sexually abused and raped by the producer or his team members. One very damaged victim said she was even a virgin when the producer went from hugging her in her trailer to physically laying on her and forcing himself in her. She turned to alcohol, drugs, running away, and anything that would allow her to numb the pain, as her parents refused to give her money to live and refused to let her quit the business. Eventually it became too much for her and she had an epic meltdown. Some of the victims were so exasperated by parents, managers, and even tutors refusing to believe or help them that they just quit the business altogether. Still, others tipped off gossip bloggers, industry insiders, online Reddit threads, anonymous MySpace chats, and anyone they could find just to try to warn others and get the story out there any way they could. It worked to a small degree at least, as people began to whisper. Meanwhile, the Protector still enjoyed his own perversions with barely legal escorts and their escort mothers. Escorts who were paid by trading sex for production deals at the studio. Actresses who skipped over the casting couches and went straight to his house to trade sex for jobs on his TV shows. And yacht girls whom he moved into his house as his girlfriends/sugar babies. All the while, the producer continued his abuses/crimes and even got bold enough to allude to them in his own shows. As the years passed, however, times changed. Victims become emboldened and struggled to find a voice, and old people get older, sicker, and lose their last few marbles. Some even die and pass on. Those, quote, girlfriends of the Protector, get greedy and sue for inclusion in the will. Family members get scorned, disinherited, and others fight and claw to be named as the new boss, as this one has. Which brings us to present day, and the earth now quaking beneath the feet of the corporation studio network, the protector, and definitely the producer. Several of the victims have begun to talk to lawyers who smell blood in the water. The big executive fall guy, he passed away. They wanted to blame it all on him since he's dead and can't defend himself. Only two big problems. Number one, in a major corporate shuffle in the past year or two, several executives/board members got pushed out and they want revenge badly against the corporation and against the protector. Number two, one of the biggest victims of the producer has a lot of proof against him. Irrefutable proof that can bring the whole house down on them all. The movie studio owned by the corporation is not doing well, and many in the industry have been reluctant to set up projects there because they're not sure if they'll ever get made. Meanwhile, the corporation's networks are also falling into trouble. So even if everything behind the scenes were fine, it would still be a tough time there. So if a major scandal were to hit the offices, studio lots, and networks, it would trigger a domino effect that will send shareholders running and talent fleeing. Because you see, hashtag Time's Up is not just a movement, meme, or hashtag, it's literally a thing because time is up for intimidation and silence of those victims. One is no longer a girl and is now a woman. She's explored criminal charges, jurisdictions, statutes of limitations, and exceptions to those. She's livid at her parents for their complicity and wants revenge and a bigger payday through a lawyer for the career in life that was stolen from her, but only after she makes it all public. So the time is up on the agreement her parents made, which doesn't apply to her now as an adult. She lawyered up and they've hired investigators, forensic accountants, analysts, and a security outfit. She's very serious about this, as are the other victims who endured similar abuse and complicity from parents, guardians, and managers. Several have engaged the services of the same law firm who employ experts in the fields of crimes against children with the feds. Also involved are the disgruntled former executives, so much so that they turned to the protector's all-time arch-nemesis, who is known by all and is the owner of a massive conglomerate stretching throughout the world to guarantee they'll get the coverage they need to air their accusations. They are also getting friendly lawyers to protect them when they back the claims of abuse victims, which otherwise would incriminate them for prior knowledge, but now indemnifies them, I guess, since they are cooperating with the victims. Everyone is pursuing this all before the protector finally dies. Then the studio and their assets, including the valuable back catalog / library of titles, can get gobbled up by another competitor. In fact, as I write this, I know several news outlets that work on stories about abuses at other branches of the corporation and executives there. So don't put too much faith in some strange movement and shuffling going on in the corporation studio networks, because it is just them setting up for future damage control and the scapegoating that is sure to come. Don't think for a second that every day the new boss of the corporation wakes up that the boss is not wondering if this is the day that their time runs out. The new boss is no dummy either and knows time's up for the metaphorical deal the corporation made with the devil all those years ago. Tick tock. Tick tock.
Well, I can't guarantee these are all right. It seems to me the protector is Sumner Redstone, the corporation Viacom, the producer Dan Schneider, the network Nickelodeon. Other network in trouble, I don't know about this one, but people were saying it's iHeartMedia, but I have yet to look into that part. The deceased ex-executive Brad Gray, the nemesis Rupert Murdoch, victim number 1 Amanda Bynes, victim number 2 Jamie Lynn Spears, victim number 3 Jeanette McCurdy, and victim number 4 Ariana Grande. These seem to fit, in my opinion. The new boss, who I haven't looked into either, Robert Bakish, those iCarly, Victorious, Sam and Cat, The Amanda Show, What I Like About You, Zoe 101, and probably even more.
Come on! Give up the juice!
Fucking stoned. I got motherfucking spaceship. Oh, fuck. Oh, cool. fuck out of here.